side, so you have to be here. Tell me when you're ready.
Right, go for it.
Union Movement welcomes this pay rise of 3.5% for over 3 million Aussies. This lifts the floor in Australia for how much people can be paid by 3.5%, and that is a really good outcome, and it's a great outcome because it's 1.1% more than inflation. So it means that finally award wage workers in Australia, our lowest paid workers, are getting ahead again, and that's great news. The Fair Work Commission accepted the arguments made by unions that it was time for low-wage workers, award workers, to start catching up for what was lost during the inflation spike. So 3.5% means they're starting to catch up again, and that makes an enormous amount of difference in terms of people's bills, people's ability to pay for the basics. People, obviously, that are on minimum wages and award wages are paying for the essentials, and the essentials have gone up all of that time, and now finally they're going to start getting ahead again. This has also been delivered because I guess it's the very first delivering of an election promise from the Albanese Labor government. During the election, they promised to back in the union movement in supporting a real wage increase for 3 million low-paid Aussies. They did so. That made a huge difference in terms of having the Treasury, the government there beside us, arguing that it was economically sustainable for low-paid workers to get this pay rise. I've got with me, before we take questions, two of the workers who are directly affected by this increase, who are going to talk to you about what it means for them. First, I want to call on Mars, who is a retail worker.
Hi, my name is...
Mars, if you don't mind just saying your full name and spelling it out.
Yeah, no, my name is Mars King, M-A-R-S, and then K-I-N-G. Yep.
Where do you work?
I work for a big corporation in retail.
On the shop floor?
Yes, I am a salesperson on the floor, yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
How much do you take home at the moment, and what does this mean for you?
At the moment, I'm getting about $650 a week, so $650, and this means I'll be able to not live paycheck to paycheck, and I'm actually make sustainability and make savings and be able to afford things like a house deposit.
How much more do you think you'll get a week?
I'm not 100% sure because I haven't really made the...
25, 30?
Yeah.
You have to get out the calculator.
Yeah, haven't had the chance to do that, but this is really exciting stuff, and it's really exciting for my other team members who also have experienced these things, and yeah.
What's it been like the last couple of years to, in real terms, have your wage go backwards because of inflation going up?
I have not been making any savings at all. I've actually been in debt. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I've also got William, and William works in security.
Hello, my name's William.
Do you want to spell your full name again?
Yeah, my last name is Simon, so S-E-A-M-O-N-S.
Talk us through how much you're taking home at the moment and what this means for you.
Okay, I'm a shift worker. I roughly, depending on if I don't count penalty rates, I'm looking at around between 700 and 900 a week.
And what do you do?
I do corporate facilities and security work.
Cool. So 3.5, what does that mean for you? Is it enough?
Oh, it's massive. I live in country Victoria, so I travel 250 k's a round trip per day. So that's roughly 50,000 k's a year. So it's a lot. It's $1, if I understand, it's about $1 an hour for me in my industry. So it's massive.
What do you do with the extra little bit of cash?
Well, that helps everything from rates, insurance, wife's medical expenses. It's everything. It's big.
Do you rent or have a mortgage?
No, I'm mortgage. Yeah, I'm a
What does
father.
it mean for your mortgage?
So, beg your pardon?
What does it mean for your mortgage?
Oh, that helps. That helps. With the interest rates, with this, it's a start. Everyone in the last lockdown and moving forward, it has been, hard times for everyone.
Thank you.
No, my pleasure.
Thanks a lot. Are there any questions?
So the government was asking for an economically sustainable real wage increase without actually putting a number on that. Do you think this fits with what the federal government was asking for?
Well, I mean, the Fair Work Commission had to weigh up what they thought. In the end, they also have to decide whether or not it is economically sustainable. I do think that the government's argument that that a real wage increase is economically sustainable was something the Commission listened to, and I do believe that 3.5% does fit with what the government was arguing, and that it means that people are getting ahead. It's not some little real wage increase, it's like just over 1%, so it's actually significant.
And so business groups were arguing for 2.5, 2.6. This is about 1% more than what they were asking for, and business groups are saying that small business especially is doing it pretty tough. They've also got super contributions going up on July 1st. What will you say to the businesses who say they just can't afford this?
Well, let's start with big business, and Australia's very much dominated by a lot of big businesses, and in the retail area and in hospitality actually too. They can well afford it. Their profits have been sustained all the way through this difficult time for the rest of us. In terms of small businesses, they depend on the average person having a disposable income to spend in their small businesses. And so when you think about all of these workers behind me getting pay rises, they're their customers. So the 3 million workers who get that increase, it means that they have more money to spend in local businesses. Very worst thing for small businesses is if workers' wages are going backwards. It means they have to cut back. The very first place they cut back on is things that they can afford to. So that's the little bit extra. It might be the coffee, it might be the sandwich, it might be a beer at the pub. They stop doing because they're the things you can cut out. You can't cut out your rent, can't cut out your bills. So it's in the interest actually of small business that their customers have more money in their pocket.
But some small businesses like Hospo, they're saying their wage bills are now like 40, 45%. Isn't that pretty huge?
Well, every single year we hear these employers say this in Hospo and elsewhere, and in particular in Hospo, they completely depend on people having disposable income. They can always put up their prices if they need to, as they have over the period of the inflation. Workers can't put up their wages when inflation spikes. They depend on these increases, and for the last 4 years, they've actually gone backwards. So they've gone backwards in real terms. So now them catching up is not only fair, but it's actually good for the economy to have more money circulating.
After 5 years and that big inflationary shock, do you see this as a real wage boost above where these workers were 5 years ago, or are they just a catch-up now?
It's a catch-up. They're not yet back to where they were before the inflation spike. The Commission said that it's time to start giving them catch-up. Obviously, next year we'll be looking at finishing the job.
What would that be next year?
Well,
the job?
Whatever it needs, so that they're back to where they were before the inflation spiked.
Assuming inflation stays at 2 to 2.4 the next year, would we need what, 3.5 again next year?
Well, probably a bit more than that in order to start catching up, and it's about, you know, the Commission considering over what period of time they want to do that. They made it very clear today that it was low-paid workers in Australia who bore the brunt more than anyone else of the inflation pressures, and they accepted that. The decisions they made in the past were less than what inflation was. Actually, you can't sort of blame them because no one knew how high inflation was going to go, but now we know what has happened. You've got to fix the damage.
And we have had some specific awards like aged care and childcare actually go up quite substantially after lobbying. What's the disparity here now between some awards? Some have got that big boost and others
Well, unions have argued, and we've argued for a long time and won these arguments now. The Fair Work Commission has accepted the arguments. The Labor government changed the law so that we can also be more successful with these arguments, and that's that care work. So all of those jobs like in aged care and early childhood education, in disability care, have been undervalued. They're already at a rate that did not reflect the actual value of the work, and that has been because traditionally we've seen this as women's work and not properly valued it. You know, you can speculate why. It might be because women used to do these things or do these things for free in the family, and then it's not properly valued when you're doing it for a job. So they went through an exercise of looking at that and accepting that they had been undervalued. If you compare the wages in industries that are dominated by men in Australia and ones dominated by women. So that's a really positive thing, and that's not about giving people a pay increase to keep up with cost of living. That's about properly valuing the work in the first place.
And last year we had some notable industrial actions. I'm thinking of Woolworths, for instance. Do you see there being more of these sorts of movements in the next year as workers lobby?
Well, there's a couple of things happening. Unions have been out there collectively bargaining, and the wage increases we've been winning in those agreements have also been ones that have got people ahead of inflation. And that's been a positive thing for workers, because we've needed to do that to have living standards start to rise again. And so because unions or workers have been deciding to band together and to bargain together, and we're getting now decent movements in the minimum wages, that helps all Australian workers. So obviously those people who choose to be members of unions are doing better because they're in those collective agreements, and that's the thing that's keeping the country going.
So more strikes this year?
Well, most of the time actually bargains happen without strikes, and the statistics still have industrial action or strikes at historic lows, like they're very low, and it's low in Australia, and maybe it's a big deal for everyone when one happens, but some people remember back in the day it just used to be a normal thing. And of course no one wants to go on strike. You lose money when you go on strike. You do it as a last resort because you've got no other option. And especially when you're fighting big multinationals, like they get instructions from their head office not to give a pay rise no matter what. You can either accept that in the negotiating table, or you can decide to exercise your right to take strike action, to put pressure back on the employer. It's actually just a part of bargaining, and sometimes it's the only way you can actually win pay rises.
Thank you. Any questions for anyone else? No, just me. Okay.
Thanks so much. Thank you, everyone. Well done, everyone.